Welcome back to Propology Study Notes. And I found some new information and I'd like to share it with y'all and correct some things that I said in the past. Not long ago, we did the DL-21. And when we did the DL-21, we covered it through A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Turns out, though, I was wrong when it came to Return of the Jedi. I believed it was probably leftover props were used for DL-21s in Return of the Jedi. That's actually not true. I found some reference photos, black and white reference photos. They're not the greatest because it's actually a photo of a photo, and it is titled Revenge of the Jedi. Now, Revenge of the Jedi was the original working title for Return of the Jedi. And in this, it's all blaster references, and in there it has the Return of the Jedi DL-21. And what I noticed right off the bat is it was shaped a little, it's pretty much in the proper form, but at closer inspection, I realized it's not an AR-7 survival pistol or survival rifle. It's something else. I don't know what it is, and it's kind of was bugging me, and I came up with a few ideas of what it might be. And the one theory that I came up with that's kind of sticking with me the most is I believe it might be a heavily modified M16 toy. I checked and to find out when M16 toys were available, and it turns out there was an M16 made in 1966 by Mattel, and it was made all through the 70s. So there were M16 toys available back then, and I believe it's been chopped up, sanded, smoothed over, and greatly modified. The only thing that made me really think it was an M16 is the trigger and the trigger guard shape. It just screams M16 or AR-15. That's just what it looks like to me. Now, another thing noted is the upper half is also all custom built. It looks like it's been kit bashed, but I don't know what the source of those parts were. It does have the nut on it, the barrel nut and everything, but it's fatter and bigger, and it's just, the proportions are wrong. But one thing that is interesting is they used a grip just like they used for the Empire Strikes Back. They used a Sterling grip. On the Return of the Jedi, they used a Model Gun Corporation replica Sterling grip. So it's got the circle right here, but it's got the circle that says Model Gun Corporation in it. Now, the scope is the same. It's a single point scope, but what's interesting about it, it's in the exact same configuration that we find the single point scope in on the Return of the Jedi DH-17s. Both dust caps are missing. It's turned to where the adjusters are sticking off to the left and the right, and it has the exact same scope rings that are used on the single point scope with the Return of the Jedi DH-17. So it's pretty much exactly the same. Greblies, well, before we get to Greblies, it does use the same 2-inch mortar fin that the Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope versions use. The Greblies, though, on the right-hand side, there's a thick washer-looking Grebly right around this area, and they use the same Grebly that they used on the Empire Strikes Back, which was the fuel pump half, part number 86 from the Revell engine kit, except for they shaved it down so you don't see any of the little squared off bottom pieces of it. On the other side, on the left side of the blaster, it still has the Molex connector like the Empire Strikes Back version, but underneath the Molex connector, it has a different Grebly. It's kind of an unknown Grebly. We don't know what it is, but it is used, this Grebly is used on another blaster, and I can't remember which one it is, but I did recognize it at one point on another blaster. Also, they're using the other fuel pump half, and it's also shaved down just like the other. This is part number 88, and it's the opposite side of this fuel pump. It's the two halves that come together, and that also comes from the Revell engine kit. I was really surprised to find that they did not use the AR-7 as the base, whether they didn't know what they had used in the past or if there were none available, which I don't really see that being an issue. But it's just interesting that it seems to be scratch built instead of being built on top of a real firearm. Now, it may be a real firearm or something that's more complete than a toy gun that's been sanded and reshaped and all kinds of craziness done to it. I just don't know what it would be. But that, like I said, that trigger and trigger guard really screams M16 or AR-15. Really, I don't know what the base is, but figured I needed to come in and correct the DL-21 episode we did earlier with adding that the Return of the Jedi, DL-21 is kind of its own animal now. Now I'm looking at it, and now that I've discovered it, it's kind of its own thing, and it almost, we covered enough of it to not have to do an episode on it, but join us next time when we pull in another prop and tear it down and see what it's made of, or when we come back and fix something we missed, or add more information. See you next time.